Well, hi, good evening. This is Barbara Fiametta on March 6th, 2026. And tonight, I'm going to speak about powerful women, very powerful women that often start out as the black sheep in the family, often get scapegoated in their communities, and are often the source of tremendous jealousy and envy. So, March 6, 2026, Barbara Fiametta, powerful women. And I'm going to go back to me. It's a little hard to see here. Oh boy, where's the camera? There it is. Okay. So, it's me. How are you this evening? And feeling better than last night. I was pooped the last couple of days, and so I just wanted to share that I have been all over the place with topics, and I really started this podcast to support women to empower themselves with the tools they have, some that I'll share, and just there's so much in the world today. There's no reason for anyone on this planet in 2026 to not be enlightening themselves, because there is so much information. There's more than we need, actually. So I'm trying to just zero in and go back to where I was, because I've been all over the place. So I wanted to talk tonight about powerful women, and then give you a couple of my stories. You know, I have so many stories. I cannot believe that all these things took place in my life. And they're all revolve around attempts to disempower me. So what I'd like to just start out with is, instead of looking at women as unempowered, disempowered, or weak, I believe, in fact, that women are extremely powerful. I think that we are born powerful. If we're not born powerful, we become powerful in childhood because of a lot of the circumstances in the family. Whether we become the little slave girl, to the mother, whether we're abused, and we are forced to find our power. So for my story, I didn't really understand the concept of being a black sheep or a scapegoat. And what I've come to understand, not just when I was young, but I just was not born, or I should say, I was not born to go with the program. I just couldn't go with the program. I was a good little girl, 1950s, but inside, silently, I was not going with the program of the structures, the way my mother, grandmother, aunt wanted me to do things. I did behave. Like I said, I was the good little girl, but on the inside, that was not the conversation I was having with myself. On the inside, I was rebelling. And every once in a while, it would come out. And of course, my mother and I would have a tremendous argument. Got my little candles, guys. Don't forget. These are for you to toss in any negativity that you're releasing. I'm just claiming that. And so, yes, powerful women throughout time. And before we talk about the qualities, why women are so powerful, and why something just came up, why there's such a need to put women down. I was scrolling today a little, and I saw this great post on Martin Luther King. And I was listening to him, and of course today it's the contrast of dignity and class and high-mindedness is so, we've got this going on, and then there's this incredible being. And there's no denying anymore the difference between power over people and personal power. And here is Martin Luther King talking not only about his personal power, which he's not talking about, he's demonstrating it, but he's encouraging us to be in our power. So I posted something, I'm going to curse here, and I wrote, what did I write? Okay, so I'm going to use the F word. Why are white men so effing disturbed by high-minded, educated, intelligent black men? Like, what the F? You know, and I knew the answer, and I said the answer is because these white men, and they're not always white, know they cannot touch the consciousness of a man like Martin Luther King. They cannot touch it. They have not earned it. They have not worked for it. They don't even know how to develop it. But they know it when they see it. And after I posted this, and I didn't erase it, I left it. I did add this to the post. I said, and the same happens to women. Like, men know that we are powerful. They know we're intelligent. They can recognize an educated woman. And they want that kind of woman, but they really can't handle that kind of woman. So, like I was talking about yesterday, is they try to hide us. You know, they want us, but they really don't want anyone else to know who we are, what we are, and to be just out there in the spotlight. So, so much. I have so much to say. My problem is, how do I make these podcasts smaller, and how do I stay focused? Okay, so I was going to say something. I just got a don't. Not yet. Too controversial. So I will do a little prayer. And I was telling you yesterday that I don't think God really cares what we say. That he's, and again, he being the energy field, is sensing the resonating heart of, like, what is the urge? What is the impulse? What is it that we're really asking for? What is it we're desiring? But then today I thought about the scripture that says in the Bible, which I never could get through, what it says, pray unceasingly. So you're feeling a bit like a hypocrite, and you know, there's so many things in the Bible, you don't know what's true and what's not true, but pray unceasingly. I could see that. But at the same time, I've had 3 different spiritual teachers say, actually to me, in a class, you only need to say it once. So on one hand, the Bible says pray unceasingly. And then I had these spiritual teachers that I really respected. In certain situations, they were telling me you only need to pray once. You know, and then it's in the universe and it's got it. So, so it's this stuff isn't black and white. It's like a rainbow. You know, there's so many gradations of consciousness, and work what works for you. So last night I did a Science of Mind treatment, and I think I'll do it again like that tonight. Well, a little bit different. So anyway, oh boy, just letting go. And so, Father, Mother, God, feminine, masculine, throughout creation, just now I call myself and everybody listening forward into your light, into the sound of the universes and into your loving spiritual heart. And I ask just now to be guided as to what it is you would like me to share and what it is you're telling me, and that there are the perfect people who would like to hear or need to hear or have something to share about the same issue. And Lord, I am throwing out a special prayer for women, that as these years, these next 3 years unfold, that women really step forward, step up, and step out in their power. And more than that, Lord, that you protect them from those who would love to silence them and hide them and shut them down. So tonight, we honor powerful women. And we release this prayer into the universe, knowing it's already done. We are grateful, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Okay, so now we're protected. We have a canopy above us, and we are just sitting in creation. Absolute, the creative power. So going back to women, I had so many examples to give you, but I think the qualities of women, and again, tonight we're talking again about powerful women that already are powerful, that the qualities of women in general are intuition, being very intuitive about the invisible, being able to read people well, their motivations, their agendas, their sincerity, their insincerities. They take care of everything. They take care of the home. They take care of the husband. They take care of the children. They take care of the students. They take care of the plants and the garden. And women are just natural caretakers. And I tend to believe they were made like that they were made like that. And I know in looking at my stories is, I think women really run the show. We women run the show, and the men take the credit. We're standing behind them, holding them up, giving them ideas, encouraging them, having the food ready on the table, which is fine. I think that's wonderful. But we don't get the credit. The men take the credit and then kind of push us aside. And so I had all kinds of examples, and you know that I have been busy calling out I've been calling them abusers. I really should be calling them the ones who have attempted to disempower me, because obviously I'm still here. They didn't succeed, but they have slowed me down. They have wasted a lot of my time because I had to hustle and get back up again. And of course, there were always lessons to be learned. There are always lessons. If you choose to get the blessing, get the blessing and the lesson. And that's a choice. And even though it may sound like I don't choose to get the lesson or the blessing, I do, but that's easier for me. What is more difficult for me is to speak up and out about the truth of the things that have happened, to slow down my power. And I have some silly examples, and I have, just much more serious ones. I lived in the Bronx in New York in a little tenement building. I think it was 5 floors. And we knew everybody. It was just a tiny little neighborhood. We were right in the corner. And so, there were no phones back then. We just played in the street till it was dark. and then we knew we had to go home. So there was no concern about safety. We just hung out in our little block area. There were the teenagers, there were the, kind of younger ones, and then there were the little ones, like me. And we each were doing a different activity. Some were playing stickball, some were playing handball on the building. I was bike riding and roller skating and playing with marbles, just marbles. The game was called Scully. We would draw this big box in the gutter and shoot little caps from the bottles. I'll save that for another time. But anyway, we had the greatest games in New York. And I'm going to two stories at once. Anyway, so here I am. I looked up what age I had to be. I had to be like 8, 9, or 10. And I was very shy, but I was told I didn't start out shy. So whatever my mother did made me shy. But when I was around my friends, I was very outgoing. I tended towards a leadership position, and I never really thought about that. If I had a great idea, and I always had great ideas, I would just share them with my little friends, and they were always game to follow whatever idea I had. So I just became like this little producer. And we were 8, 9, and 10, and I loved to listen to show music when I was little, and I would just come up with songs that everybody would sing to put on a show for our parents in the summer in the Bronx in New York. I think maybe Queens, Long Island. I don't know. Our parents would sit outside after dinner on the beach type chairs and just, yak away. And so there's all these adults kind of sitting around talking, and we're just playing. So I would create plays. So I would pick out songs, and I would assign a song to each friend, little girls. And, they didn't care. Whatever I gave them, they wanted to do, and I'd write out the lyrics for them. And like I'm 8, 9, 10 years old. And so I pretty much scripted it, gave the songs. My song was it wasn't Sorry with the Fringe on Top. I forgot. I had a favorite song that I sang. And so we practiced every day after school, made little costumes. Usually the costumes were our slips, the slips that we wore under our dresses that were like this. And we didn't do makeup. And there was no printing then. I would make signs, each one I would write, the date, the time. It was always a Saturday night, the date and the time, how much. Every parent was going to have to pay 25 cents. Of course, I collected the money. I'm the one who paid everybody after. I was just this little entrepreneur producer, and loved it. It was just natural, and I just fell into it. So one day I'm putting up my little advertisements in my building, in the hallway above the mailboxes. So I put it up, and I scotch taped it up, and I did it in the other buildings. And they took a lot of time to make. And my cousin who lived in the building, my aunt and uncle and 2 cousins lived in the same building. So after I put them up, I'm kind of, leaving the building or going upstairs. I don't remember, but he goes and he takes my sign down and rips it up. This is my cousin Stewie, just a little younger than me. I was livid. And as much as I had a shy side, there was this other side of me that I never reconciled until I was older. I didn't understand archetypes. I had the shy side, I had the very outgoing side, I had the leader, but a new one came out. I had a water gun in my hand. Do you remember the water guns? The plastic water guns, they were green, they were yellow, red, and we'd run around squirting each other. And so I had my water gun in my hand when he did it. And I just took that water gun and I just bopped him on the head. No thought. I didn't censor myself. No one was around. It was just no censorship. I wasn't thinking like a meek little girl or anything like that. And so he runs upstairs to his mother. I walk out into the street and I get called to come in. So I called to go into the bathroom where my aunt is, puttering around with his head. Turned out to be like a dot, but it was bleeding. So he's sitting on the toilet seat while my aunt is with the sink, and I'm just standing there being scolded for bopping him on the head. And what I remember most was I didn't say a word. I just listened. I just did the good girl listening. I didn't defend myself. I didn't tell my aunt. I don't even think I would tell my mother what happened. I was silent. And that was bred into me, to not speak up, not defend yourself, not tell the truth. And I thought about that today. It went that far back. But I was so passionate about this play, one of many, that there was just absolutely no consideration of not hitting him with my water gun. It's funny now, but I was very serious back then. So I get scolded. The play was, wonderful. I don't know how much money we made. I literally went around to every parent that I knew, because we lived in the neighborhood for years, and they all gave me a quarter and made change, and the girls were hiding in the building in their costumes, ready to come out one by one. And so I look back at that, is I had leadership abilities when I was a little girl. And I went in and out of them. I'd be in it, then I'd go out of it, in and out of it. And I was perfectly content. I've talked to you about being a team player. It was just a role that I stepped into that no one else seemed to want. And if someone else wanted it, I would have been fine. Like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? So I was looking at that power. I was already powerful. I was already a powerful little girl, woman. And then all these things happen along the way, mostly with men, like my little cousin, to try to disempower me. So it's not like I came along disempowered. I came along powerful. So, so that's like the first part. The second part is, because I couldn't get with the program, I didn't understand what a black sheep was until I got much older. And I was just looking, it's like, why am I always the black sheep? Why am I always the one that sticks out? Why am I the one who gets scapegoated for the problems that I had nothing to do with creating? And another revelation was that the black sheep, which was on my pad, is the one that does not put up with the toxicity and the dysfunction of the community or the family. That's why they're the black sheep. They stick out. It could be blatant, it could be subtle, but the essence behind a black sheep is they are not going to tolerate the dysfunction of the group. And whether or not they stand up and out about it is another story. Like, I didn't do this years ago. And then we get blamed and scapegoated because they're all in cahoots. The family, the communities, the churches, they're all in cahoots to maintain this identity that is fake and false and harmful and cultish. And we are the ones, the scapegoats that are not going along with the program, we get pointed to. Everybody in the group points to that one person, that they refuse to play by the rules. There's something wrong with them. And on some level, they have to go. whether it's rejection, abandonment, maligning their character. It's different, for every age. The second point that I had on the pad is the black sheep who is scapegoated also is silently, usually silently, not blatantly, the source of jealousy and envy. The community knows on some level that they're toxic, that they have there's this trio thing where one plays the victim, one plays the victor, and one plays the observer. And they change roles. They keep changing roles. But that one black sheep, there is a jealousy that they have the power and the strength to stand aside from the mass consciousness, from the whole race consciousness of the group. So there is a jealousy and envy is, well, I can't do that. I'm stuck in this. And I don't like the fact that they have the power, the courage, the whatever, the stupidity, the stupidity to stand alone. So that was kind of like a young version. Now I'm going to bring it forward. I told you that I've been calling out what I've been calling my abusers, but really they are men that needed to put me down. In one of the churches that I was in, I think I told you, ruined me for 15 years, really threw me under the bus. It was one administrator. He was always watching me, always studying me. And I listed last night every encounter that we had that was nasty. I have 17 of them. If there were more, I didn't see them. I didn't pay him much mind, even though he was doing that, because I was so busy studying and paying attention to my teacher. So I told you I moved onto the property that they purchased, and filthy, dirty. It didn't look like that when I moved in. It happened like within weeks. And then, of course, I met people, and I heard about the roaches, and then I started to see more apartments that were just horrendous. So the first week I moved in, the property was right next to the ashram, and I'm standing in the ashram just kind of drinking coffee and spacing out, just literally spacing out, and he comes up to me. He has never said a word to me since I had walked into that path. So it must have been like 27 years at that point. Comes straight up to me, and he says these exact words. So you're the pioneer for the new property. Exact words. So you are the pioneer for the new property. Which told me, which I didn't realize till last night, he knew I was powerful. Why would he identify me as the pioneer if I was a weak woman? So it was just last night that I realized he knew I was powerful, and he wanted what I had. So anyway, so he says to me, so you're the new pioneer. Now, I have to explain to you where I was in my life at the time. I was sick of being the pioneer. I was totally sick of being the pioneer. I was totally sick of being the black sheep, and I just wanted to hide. And I moved to this property, and I got a little tiny studio, and I wanted away from everybody, away from all the tenants. And my goal was just to detox my cells. I wanted to get a PhD from USC, which was very doable because I had the credentials. And just really get into my yoga, my heated Bikram yoga, just really get my body together. It was already together, but just more so. And there was no crutch, there was no wheelchair, there was no walker. And I was looking good, and I had to be 60, 59, 58, 60. So when he says to me, you're the pioneer for the property, which means I'm the one who's going to what? Make the changes, bring about some kind of change. I didn't say anything to him. The same thing when I bopped my cousin on the head with the water gun. I was silent. I heard him. But what I heard in my head were two things. One was, oh, no, no, no. I'm not going to be the pioneer here, no matter what. I came to hide, take good care of myself, and rest. I'm answering him, but not out loud. The second thing in my head was, oh my God, he's actually talking to me. After 27 years, he's actually addressing me. So I bring this up also as here is someone, a male, white, powerful position, who obviously sees my power, sees my presence, sees what my abilities are. It was because he was watching me for 27 years. I know it turned out wanted to be me, but that came later. And then I'm on the property, and slowly, so help me God, that position of being the pioneer does come to me. Everybody is coming to me, the newest tenant, and bitching about the filth and the dirt and the nasty people that own it, which was my church. They never take care of the property. They don't know what's going on. I mean, it was totally dilapidated. And I'm trying so hard to not get involved. It's just working so hard to just stay in my little lane and just do my own thing. I was singing in the clubs. I was probably at the clubs 3 times a week. I was going to spiritual classes on the other nights. So I was out every night. And I think I told you yesterday, they refused to give me a refrigerator and a stove, which was promised to me. And they just turned off my water in the kitchen and the bathroom and refused to turn it on again. I mean, I ended up having to pay for my own plumber. And so, of course, that blew my whole health program. I have no refrigerator for vegetables. I don't even have water to cook. So I ended up doing that eating out junk. And around the corner was a McDonald's that in those days had the $1 menu. And it was sickening me. It was sickened me to have to go there. Because here I was about to just create this healthy body, and now I'm buying $1 hamburgers and putting $5 of gas in my car. Because what was happening is I was slipping out of my lane. I didn't bother applying to USC. I mean, I started to apply to USC, but I remember the second week I was there was drugs. I was surrounded by drugs. I was surrounded by domestic violence. I was surrounded by screamers. And I remember the second week kind of telling guys, there is no way I'm going to be getting a PhD here. There's no way I'm going to be able to study here. There's no way I am going to advance here. And so months go by. I write 40 letters to the landlord. The landlord, is in alignment with me. These people need to be evicted. And wrote a letter to my spiritual teacher, wrote 3 letters, even had someone from the Board of Health confront him about the property. He was pissed. So, months go by, and I'm on that, that minimum income because I haven't chosen money. I'm choosing all these other things. And I'm still in my power, but I'm losing it. By the end, it got so convoluted. The same person who said I was the pioneer, he called it accurately. I ended up being the pioneer. I ended up having to call the health department. I ended up having to call the person in charge of slumlords. There I am again, being the pioneer. But he called it. That administrator called the shots. And when it happened, and it wasn't my fault, it was their fault. They didn't keep the property clean. In fact, they just ignored the property. But they have a beautiful ashram, but next door, it's a slum. So who becomes the black sheep? Who starts to separate out from the community? Me. Who's the one gets scapegoated and blamed because it's getting dramatic? Me. Who's the one who's jealous and envious of me because I did have the power to make the changes on the property? Was that administrator that said I was going to be the pioneer. He managed to turn the whole thing around within the year, made me the villain, maligned my character in the community. I've told you all this stuff. But basically what I forgot to tell you is there I am again with a powerful white male who's full of himself, walked around with his nose up in the air, just thought he was just, Mr. Hot Shit, and was not liked. He was not a people person. And everything that I am, he wasn't. And so going back to the original topic for tonight, powerful women, is in being a powerful woman, identified as a powerful woman, when I finally evidenced my power by having to get my needs met in my apartment, which was horrible, and then everybody else's around me got handled, I'm the one who becomes the enemy. I'm the one who's gossiped about, maligned. And because I was so devoted to my teacher, and this is where we women get stuck. This is where we get gaslit. This is where men, I hope this does not go off, this is where men really get us in our devotion and in our loving. I was so in love, and I don't mean that romantically, with my teacher, and I felt so loved. He was a very special being, not from this planet. I couldn't bear to fight against them because of him. And I think I told you I forfeited $19,000 relocation fees. I didn't sue them for an illegal eviction, and I had more than enough proof. So I didn't step into my power. The feminine in me, the lover in me, the caretaker, the one who wants to keep harmony, the one who takes hit after hit after hit. How many women take the hits and just to keep the harmony? And I end up the villain. I fell so low, and I'd never fallen so low. I fell so low because I felt so betrayed that here I am on a spiritual path. I'm a minister. I'm an initiate. I have demonstrated my devotion. I show up for classes. I had over $100,000 on the line spent there. I don't even know where I got that money. And I'm being maligned. My spiritual teacher is not, at that time there were two. One was dying, the main one was dying, and the other one is just doing nothing. And I tried to talk to all of them 3 times. Each one of them I approached. I wasn't just a victim. So I'm saying this to you is they see us as powerful women, but there's a jealousy and an envy of the light that women emanate. And the trend has been, and I think it's going to be shifting in the next 3 years, is to disempower the powerful feminine. And I mentioned last night Mary Magdalene, that I felt like her energy is coming in to lead us. And I was watching something that Kamala Harris was saying today. And so this topic, I have to stay close to the topic. Powerful women, we are powerful women, but men or patriarchy have a need to diminish us if we don't cooperate with their program. And it has got to stop. And the only way it's going to stop is for me and you and others to speak out about it, to call them out, and name them. I'm getting close to naming. Those of you who know me know who I'm talking about. And I'm watching my friends on Facebook. I'm watching to see who's dropping out. So far, none. I just deleted a MAGA. So so the water gun, and then I'm on the property being told I'm going to be the pioneer, and the little Barbara who is producing these shows in the Bronx streets was the little pioneer, and I've been that role. I don't have to be, but if no one else does it, you know, one of us women pick up the ball and run with it. And we are so capable. We are so efficient. We are so effective. You know, I don't understand why a woman isn't running the world yet. But, you know, it's going to have to come because men have had their shot and it is not working. And it comes back to power over, having power over people. And men who need to have power over, particularly women, are insecure. They have this unworthiness. They are not doing their inner work. They don't need to suffer those wounds. They can do the work just like we are doing it, just like we've done it for lifetimes. So we have a bunch of little insecure men running around in diapers, trying to run businesses, countries, neighborhoods, families. And who gets the backlash? It's the powerful woman who has to do all the work, and it's never enough for that. And I'm going to use a new word that's not on my pad for tonight. It's the narcissist. The one who needs the attention, has to be the star, has to be up front, and has to claim all the credit, and then push us aside. And I'm tempted to tell you something, but I'll save it. I too many stories from one night. So yeah, that's my water gun story, and that's my. You're going to be the. So you're here to be the pioneer on the property, and I became the pioneer. The property is totally revamped because of me. I mean, totally revamped. But they waited until I moved out to do it. And that's always what happens. When I leave a situation, just like the one I'm in now, I know the day that I leave, everything that I suggested or had to complain about to the state will be fixed. But they never do it while I'm present. Never. So I'm one of those people, there's this saying that says, don't ever expect to sit under the shade of a tree where you planted the seeds. Let me say that again. It's a great quote. Don't ever expect to stand under the shade of the tree where you planted the seeds. Meaning you're going to be the one who plants the seeds. The tree is going to blossom. Everyone's going to be living under the heaven of it and the shade of it. But we will not, because we're on to the next drama, the next pioneer task. And I know there's no accidents. You know, I know that spirit is behind this, you know, and I bitch. It's like, you know, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to sing. I just want to create things. I don't want to do this pioneer stuff. So if every woman would just step up and step out and speak their truth and tell their stories from childhood on up, it would relieve the pressure on just the few who are doing it. And I'm so happy and proud to join the ranks of the women who have been carrying the torch. And I think about Bella Abzug, I think about Gloria Steinem, Jane Fonda, Shirley MacLaine. All those women were trying to tell me something when I was 20, and I didn't listen to them. I felt like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and no one is going to stop me. But I was not a threat at 20. But as I got older and wiser and could see better, I was like, these ladies knew what they were talking about. And I honor them, and I want to meet them. You know, I'm afraid, you know, these women are going to die on us, and who's going to speak out? You know, who's going to really speak out for us? So, so powerful women, focusing on powerful women who are already powerful by divine right, by divine design. And then the masculine tries to pull it out from under us in every way, shape, and form. Administrators, churches, husbands. We all have so many examples. So I'm encouraging you ladies, get out there. Tell your truth, tell your stories, write your books, write your songs. And I was saying the other night, flood this planet with all your art. We really need to counteract AI, and we need to counteract all this psychic violence and spiritual warfare that's going on. And who is going to be leading that parade? Powerful women. Powerful women are going to lead the parade into enlightenment and into the next level of evolution for this planet. So, God bless everybody. Good night. Thanks for listening. And do leave a comment somewhere. They wiped off all my views. I had like all these views, and then the numbers just disappeared. So say something, anything. And I'd love to know your stories too. So, you know I have a problem always closing. So I'm closing. I was going to sing a song for you tonight, but I'll save it for tomorrow. It's another story. And I had the courage tonight to do it. So have a great day. Have a great weekend. And I have some legal work to do. I know an eviction's coming. And I can't say I'm not scared. I'm more scared about where am I going. I'm grateful to get out of here. And it's because I opened my mouth. It's retaliation. And it's the best. It's the best thing. So, good night. God bless. And take care. And I'm going to release all this negativity into the universe. I'm going to punch you guys out. And